How's it going, everybody? John 12, Revelation 13, which is our 666 chapter. We'll get to that verse tomorrow. We'll split it up. We'll split Revelation 13 into 2 different days. And Jesus, when he found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written, "Fear not, daughter of Sion, behold, the king cometh, sitting on an ass's colt." These things understood not his disciples at first, but when Jesus was glorified, then remembered they that these things were written of him, that they had done these things unto him. The people thereof, in other words, it was written that all this would take place, and then they remembered witnessing it all taking place. In other words, prophecy being fulfilled. Verse 17, the people therefore that was with him when he called Lazarus out of his grave and raised him from the dead bear record. For this cause the people also met him, for that they heard that he had done this miracle. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, perceive ye how ye prevail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him. And there was a certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. That same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus. Philip cometh and telleth Andrew, and again Andrew and Philip telleth Jesus. And Jesus answered them, saying, The hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Again, we've got 23 chapters of John. And or is it 21? I think it's 23. It's 21. So I just keep getting that mixed up. And at chapter 12, even though we've got 21 chapters, I mean, all the other ones, when does Jesus die on the cross? Jesus' death on the cross, Gospel of John. So it looks like John 19. John 19. But it's already being highly spoken of in John 12. Like the hour is come. Again, John is different than the other Gospels. John is your quintessential election, predestination, no free will, God's sovereignty gospel. But it does not have the Olivet Discourse like the other 3 does. And it is definitely structured differently as the others get into, like yesterday's, Palm Sunday, quote unquote. All of the items about the death of Jesus all happen at the very end. Where here in the very middle of the Gospel of John, we're already getting into what the other Gospels wait for at the very end, because Jesus saying the hour has come that's at the end of all the other Gospels. So anyway, it's very different. What did I do? Just messed all this up, didn't I? There we go. Okay. All right, Revelation 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, this is the Antichrist in a figurative, abstract sense. He is the 7th king of Mystery Babylon. And we will go ahead and open up Revelation 17 also, because you kind of have to do these simultaneously. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. This Antichrist is the 7th king of Mystery Babylon, as there were 6 previous kings before him over a period from antiquity moving forward. In the book I'm writing, we just sort of speculate who the other 6 were. We would think maybe Nimrod, sort of the first king of Babylon. Hang on. Nimrod, Bible account only, the first, quite possibly king of Babylon, we would think. Biblically speaking, he is, so that's what we go by. Suma Abum was an Amorite from a historical perspective. Nebuchadnezzar II, who took the Israelites captive, you would think maybe for sure I would go with Nimrod, then Nebuchadnezzar. Then I would go with Darius the Mede, Bible account only. They both loved Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar II and Darius the Mede. And it says 7 kings, 5 are fallen, which means, I believe, that they're goats, but 2 were sheep. Lost sheep, and then found through Daniel, of course, God-given, as all salvation is. Belteshazzar, Cyrus the Great, and how do you pronounce that? Antiochus IV, Epiphanes, Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Hitler, and then, of course, the Antichrist beast out of the sea. So that's 11. So which of these would I go with? Nimrod, Nebuchadnezzar, Darius the Mede. I'm going to definitely go with, you got to go with the Antichrist beast out of the sea. Let's highlight him as the 7th and the 8th. So we'll give a different color. And, so I need 3 more. They seem to really prop up Napoleon. There's a movie coming out. Trump compared himself to Napoleon in the Pizza Hut commercial in the, I believe it's the 80s, if not 90s, where he said Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump were all cut from the same cloth. So let's highlight Alexander the Great. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So should we go with Cyrus, which they put Trump on a coin with King Cyrus? Donald Trump on a coin with King Cyrus. So you see these temple coins. There's the Jewish temple coin. Of course, the Antichrist will declare himself to be God in the coming 3rd temple, which is already prefabbed, I am sure, and will be thrown together while the world is locked down with no electricity, no food, no water, lots of death during World War III. They'll be throwing that temple up for him to bring an end to World War III, seemingly have come back from the deadly moon that kicks off World War III. He will have seemingly risen from the dead, and the earth becomes a very supernatural habitation of the Holy Spirit personified and the evil demonic spirits personified that come into its most robust at the abomination of desolation. But let's also show you the Pizza Hut commercial.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Donald Trump. We're all cut from the same cloth. Alexander the Great. Donald Trump. We're all cut from the same cloth. Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Donald Trump. We're all cut from the same cloth. Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Donald Trump. We're all cut from the same cloth. Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Donald Trump. We're all cut from the same cloth.
And there's your twin trumps. Your 7th is of the 8th. So here's your twin trumps or your twin towers. And here is One World Trade Tower rising. And that's the Antichrist coming back from the dead. And so when we get into Revelation 17, and it speaks to, and the beast that was, twin trumps, twin towers, and is not. Oops, the twin trumps are down. Oh, the Antichrist has received his right eye deadly wound, or deadly wound to the right eye. Even he is the eighth. But there's no 8 kings of Mystery Babylon. Remember, it's 7 heads, 10. There's only 7. 007, James Bond. Mother from Scotland in Skyfall. Donald Trump's mother from Scotland. She landed in Queens, New York. Trump was born in Queens, New York. As she arrived to New York, he was born in Queens, New York. And in the movie The Highlander, which Trump's mom's maiden name was MacLeod. So Connor MacLeod comes from Scotland and lands in Queens, New York. And he is immortal. He cannot die, just like the Antichrist cannot die. He rises seemingly from a deadly wound. What is this deadly wound? It is Zechariah 11:17. Jesus Christ is our shepherd, but woe to the idle shepherd who leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm. So he's going to have an injury to his, I believe, left shoulder arm. It does not state left or right here, but then it says upon his right eye, his arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. And the beast that was, is not, even he is the 8th. Now he's returning from the dead, seemingly so. And is of the 7, because it was the 7th all along. It was a body double, clone, body double, switch, whatever. So having 7 heads, which are the 7 kings of Mystery Babylon, and 10 horns, which are basically the kingdoms of the earth divided by 10 at the end times. And upon his horns, 10 crowns. He's in charge of all of them. See this word his? This is the Antichrist. People will tell you, it's not a person, it's a system. It's both. And the beast, which I saw, was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth was the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power. Why did the dragon give him his power? Because Satan has now possessed the body of the Antichrist beast, which will be Donald J. Trump. Gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death. Where? In his right eye. And his deadly wound was healed. Oh, he seemingly has risen from the dead, which means, the 8th, but he's of the 7. And all the world wondered after the beast. So all the goats are going to fall for this, what the Bible calls a strong delusion. So we now have to get into 2 Thessalonians 2, 1 through 11, which we also have to get into Matthew 24, 1 through 37. All this stuff works together, and you have to get into Revelation chapter 6, 1 through 9, 1 through 8. So the deadly wound is the white horse, and a crown is given unto him. Hebrews 2:9. Jesus' death. But Jesus, when he was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory. So you see death, comma, crowned. death, comma, crowned. Well, the Antichrist has a crown given to him. He doesn't earn it because he doesn't really die. And I saw, behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. This kicks off World War III because the next horse is red, which is war. Third horse is black, famine. Fourth horse is pale, death to 1/4 of the earth. I believe that's population. 1 out of 4, which will be 2 billion, will die on the earth. The earth will have gone through its trauma-based mind control, allowing all goats to now fall for the strong delusion. For God shall send them a strong delusion that they will believe a lie, that he what? Came back from the dead. As I've told you, the earth will be supernatural. For there arise a false Christ and a false prophet. It's got an S on the end, but when you look them up, it is singular. So it's the false Christ, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. And they will show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. That's how strong the delusion will be. It'll be very supernatural. But of course, the sheep are covered with the Holy Spirit, so they won't fall. It's not possible for them. Jesus said, if it were possible, but it's not possible. But that's how powerful it would be, that the very elect, with all their human wisdom and understanding God, that they could also be handed right over to it, but they're not. They've got the Holy Spirit. The rest are of their father, the devil, and they will worship the image of the beast, and then their bodies will become possessed with the fallen angels or demonic spirits. So let's get back on track. Revelation 13, one of his heads were wounded to death, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Because he has put it into World War III, and he was running it the whole time, like Palpatine. They was running the dark side empire the whole time in the final Star Wars. They thought he was dead, but he was alive, and they said, this cannot be. And they said, yes, cloning, dark science, secrets only the Siths knew. So they tell the reality in what they call predictive programming in movies. You had The Dark Knight, which is about the dark and right eye of the Antichrist, and you had The Dark Knight Rises. He literally rose out of a pit in the movie The Dark Knight Rises, and The Dark Knight Rises came out 2 days after The Dark Knight, again, rose on the 3rd day. Dark Knight came out July 18th. Dark Knight Rises came out July 20th. 18th to the 20th of July, rose on the 3rd day. Yes, they were 4 years apart, but we see what they did there. These movies both came out 2008, 2012. They were on leap years. Next year is a leap year. So if nothing occurs this year, next year is big. Next year's year of the dragon. Though I would say it'll happen this year. And then the abomination of desolation would be next year, year of the dragon. We shall see. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. But of course, don't forget, Jesus said, lest he cuts those days short, no flesh would be saved. So this is figurative speech. This is just all about math and numbers. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, we have a book of numbers. God is about, if nothing else, numbers. And he opened his mouth and blasphemed against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And of course, people will say, well, the temple of God is the body, but not to the Jew. The remnant, the Jew, the remnant of Jesus's bloodline is awakened at the abomination of desolation after the non-bloodline becomes awakened, because all the lost sheep on the earth, which is 99.9% of all sheep on the earth, are lost. That's what the great trib is for, is to cleanse them, to try them. And so it was given unto them to make war with the saints, which is exactly what it says in Daniel 7:21, where the horn makes war with the saints. The horn is the Antichrist. Jesus said the Antichrist would be here in his own name, and a horn is a trump, and a trump is a horn. So to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given unto him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So you see where it says make war with the saints and to overcome them. And we go to Daniel. Trump Tower has 5 multiple addresses, 721 through 725 Fifth Avenue. And the Antichrist in Daniel is Daniel 721 through 725. And you see, I beheld the same horn. A trump is a horn, and a horn is a trump. The same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. So it's the exact same in 13:7 as it is in 721. So 721 is the same as 13:7. Daniel 721, Revelation 13:7. It's telling you the exact same thing. Jesus saying the Antichrist would be here in his own name. John 5:43, I come in my Father's name as what? The Christ. And ye receive me not. If another, Christ, Antichrist, shall come in his own name, him you will receive. And Israel receives Trump. They love Trump. Trump, make Israel great again. They love him over there in Israel. Trump, make Israel great again. There's the hat, build Israel great again. Trump is a friend of Zion. You know, he moved the capital back to Jerusalem. Let me see here. Anyway. They love him over there, and he's on all these temple coins. Donald Trump on temple coins. He's on various temple coins over in Israel. We remember Mike Pompeo when Trump was president, coming and overlooking the architectural renderings of the coming third temple, where his boss, Mike Pompeo's boss, will eventually perform the abomination of desolation. We know the Bible verse, Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. They say that they are Jews, but they are not, but they are of the synagogue of Satan. Anyway, let's keep going. Wow, right? Make war with the saints and to overcome them, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So all goats, this is also said again in Revelation 17:8. Whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. All goats were established as goats from the foundation of the world. Their names were just simply not written in the book of life from the very beginning. Remember, God's ordained the end from the beginning. The book of Revelation is written. All goats are set in stone. All sheep are set in stone. Sheep are born lost. Jesus said in Matthew 15:24, I only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's all he came for. He did not come for the whole world. He came for what God so loved in John 3:16 was cosmos. For God so loved cosmos. And the first definition and the first usage listed in Strong's Concordance is arrangement, harmonious arrangement, his order of things, which is what God established, his order, his arranging of his sheep. Ephesians 1:4-5, for he hath chosen us in him from before the foundation of the world. Before anything was made, sheep established before the foundation of the world, goats established at the foundation of the world. So sheep established first. You're getting a glass of water through a fire hydrant. This is a lot. You'd have to listen to this over and over and over if this is your first time. All that dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose names are not written in all goats will worship the image of the beast from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear, which is exactly what it says. 7 letters to the 7 churches all end with that. I love you very much. Ask a question anytime. That's what I'm here for.